Bam.
Hello, this is Omar Ritter, and you're watching the Break It Down show.
Badass motherfuckers on the show today. We had Scott Husing moments ago. You guys got a chance to meet, and now you get to hang out with old Pedro himself. So I appreciate you coming on, Omar. I dig it that we get to do these things. It was funny when we were talking off mic, and it's just a couple seconds, but I hear all these little notes. This is what spies do. I hear the note, and I go, "Oh, that's worth hitting, ding, 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 ding," and seeing what happens there.
Right.
You said I did the Iraq thing. Because we're so far from it now, it has become something different than what it was. And I don't know, we'll get into this a little bit if you want to. I don't know what you did in the Army, but I know that when I was there, I had to check I'm in a new reality. My job is particularly dangerous because I have to leave the camp and go out and expose myself. And if the enemy doesn't know I'm there, I'm not relevant, right? So not only am I someone who might get hit by a random mortar coming in, I need to be someone that they're trying to actively hunt and pursue so that we can flush them out, right? And so that reality, I would put both my boots on the ground and look down at my boots and be like, I am in a new world. And I would remind myself. But now, today, It's the Iraq thing. It's the Iraq thing. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show. What are your thoughts on that? Like, that's a good place to jump off, and we'll go from there.
I mean, my thoughts are exactly yours. I was a light cavalry scout, so sneaking and peeking on the battlefield. One of the first people across the border, fought from Kuwait all the way up to Baghdad, Highway of Death, Thunder Run, all those things, taking over the airport, etc. Getting shot at, shooting back. Battle of Osama, got a battle device out of it and a Bronze Star. So, listen, I agree with you. For me to say it's an Iraq thing tells you that on most occasions, time heals all wounds in some way, right? And now I'm just an old guy sitting behind my computer having a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about PTSD, and I don't know how to put and all three of us were talking about this, and I was more listening as you guys were talking, but I can't seem to shake the disorder in my, I can't reorder it. Right. And so as a lot of folks that figure it out or talk about it in terms of growth and all those things, but I still struggle to manage my disorder. And I'm a lot better than I was.
Right.
But I know that there's a storm coming every day. I am going to want to, and this is, everybody don't be alarmed by this. I'm just being honest. I know that I'll have the urge to kill myself every single day, right? That's part of my existence. It's not as scary as it used to be. I've got control on it today. Probably will have control on it tomorrow. But I also know that our peers that have completed the act were at the very spot I was at, with their boots on the ground going, I don't know how to get through today. And then they went forward, and I don't want to go forward anymore. And so I have gotten better. Do I continue to get better? Maybe, but it is a real struggle and a life and death struggle at times. I've survived so far, but I'm not better than my peers. And it could be that one more trap door opens, back then when I was really struggling. I mean, I wouldn't want to be around anymore.
Right. And what I would say to that, Pete, is it's not a choice that you have, but the fact that you're self-aware of what's going on, that you have these issues, puts you ahead of the curve of most people that don't realize, oh my goodness, my brain is about to be hijacked, right? Because people don't commit suicide. People are victims of suicide, and it's somebody breaking down the door, getting into the cockpit, and taking over the airplane. And so what we have to do, you, me, our brothers and sisters out there, we have to protect that cockpit and keep the enemy out of that cockpit so that we can control our own destiny. And while that's happening, there's going to be some tough times, right? We can get a couple stab wounds, maybe get shot in the shoulder, etc. But by all means, we're taking the steps to protect that cockpit to keep us on the path.
We also can see it in our peers and I'll just say this, our peer group is bigger than we realize. It's not just guys who did the Iraq thing. My buddy is now he's retired, but he's a 9/11 he ran a 9/11 center for a really well populated area, and those guys take hits. They take hits all the time. They
Right.
are getting phone calls and managing crisis in throughout the night, or day or whatever, in the worst moment in people's lives, and often the last moment in people's lives. And so they have instant available grief counsel capability right there, because that job is dangerous for the person doing it, even though they may never leave the office. They may experience all of it in an office chair.
Right. And and that's part of what I talk about in my book as well, right? It's just not your combat officer, combat soldier forward on the battlefield. It's also, folks that have trauma from 9/11,
Yeah.
folks that have trauma, anxiety when it comes to the stresses at work or at home, etc. And so one of the things that I do, Pete, is I never try to judge somebody's pain by my own pain. What
Yeah.
I try to do is understand their pain, and if I can help, have a conversation about that pain, right? Because we're all suffering from something, and something that one person might struggle with. It might be here for me, but way up here for them. And so I
Yeah.
gotta realize that my tolerance for pain may just be a little bit higher than most people's, and I have to realize that when going into a conversation or a situation, especially if you want to be a good husband, father, mentor, leader, boss, etc.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, you said a lot there. It's I often say, because you were trying to characterize something that's hard to see, and let me back up for a sec, because you said something that's important. The PTSD thing is not just like, oh, what happened to you to make you feel bad, like that. Okay, there's elements of that in it, but how does my body respond outside of
Right.
my control, right? Because look, if anybody doesn't know, if you're in the cav and the war is over, they're going to send these young people out into what we call a non-permissive environment. That means the enemy is out there, but they're not masked up in front of it where you can see them. So they're
Mm-hmm.
going to hide amongst women. They're going to take shots at you as a sniper. And Omar has people under his leadership who are going to go out there with him, and you don't know what's coming, and so
Right.
you're keyed up all of the time, and so our bodies respond differently, and that turns into things like, I'll be setting up my show. I'll go to someone, let's say I come to your office and we're going to do my show face to face, something I do all the time. I will say to you, I'm going to take my outer shirt off here, because my body is going to switch on and think that I'm in combat,
Right.
and my body's going to be like, panic, 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 and I am not panicked. I am calm, but I will be a sweating mess, even though I've done this 100 times. There's no danger. I cannot control how my body responds to things, because I've been in under this stressful environment over and over again, not sleeping, right? I mean, you know how it is. I
Right.
mean, you know, I said that for a long time. I just work 36-hour days, like this is a 36-hour day. Tomorrow's going to end sometime tomorrow.
Yep.
In the next day. And then when you come along, right, you're a lieutenant, you got a patrol. I've earned my way into your guys' good graces, because that's what us spies have to do. And you come up to me and I am blown out tired because I just did a 6-hour patrol. Pete, we're going to go back out. You want to come with? I have to say yes. I have to.
That's right.
Right. And so 2-a-days in the combat world, oh God. And so that causes a change in all of our chemistry and how we respond. So it's not just like the bad feelings, or I saw a dead people. Shit, I saw all kinds of dead people. Right.
Right.
It's all of it.
Right. And what I would add to that, Pete, is that not only is it the combat, but like you said, the staying up, etc. The what the body does. I can remember when I first graduated from business school, and I went straight into investment banking because I didn't know any better. And I was an M&A investment banker, and we were working 18, 19 hours a day. If we had a big deal, we wouldn't go home. And what made me a fabulous banker is I didn't need to go home and go to sleep, right? Because I was just so used to working in that environment. I wasn't that far removed from war, because I came home in 2004 and I'm sitting in an investment banker seat in 2006. So I wasn't that far removed. And oh, by the way, like that made me really good at that job. But at the same time, the same person that was good at the job, every time I had to send an email to a senior person, it was like I was a scout having to send an email to my brigade commander and get on the radio. Like the same nervousness, even though it's just a guy. I'm just sending him some email about an Excel file. I'm acting like I'm talking to a full-bird colonel about what's going on the battlefield. So I agree.
Yeah. There's a thing, the difference. I love this difference between the civilian world and the military world. If you came to me and said, Pete, I need you to get me your patrol report ASAP, you mean, why isn't it done right fucking now? ASAFP, right? And so we say it. And when looks at you, someone says, wait, you want it now? Like, why are you fucking talking to me? Go get on the goddamn keys and type that motherfucking report. I need it, But in the civilian world, they're like, as soon as possible.
Right. Exactly.
Don't extend yourself. Yeah, but tomorrow, the next day, just it's weird because the military beat that out of me so hard that I can't even comprehend what the old version of ASAP means from the civilian world. I just know because I used to live in that world. But if you said ASAP, I can't unprogram the fuck,
right.
and then get that key,
But that's the difference. That's what makes a lot of veterans great who go into the civilian sector and take these jobs in finance, operations, etc. Because ASAP means I got to put all nighter to get this done for the boss, right? I remember Pete, has a junior investment banker putting together a pitch deck for my boss. He was going to get on a plane to go to Florida, wherever he was flying. I'd stay there all night till 4 a.m. I actually had the code to his house, and he was having a 6 a.m., 7 a.m. flight. I'd type in the code and drop off the PowerPoint. And what I realized as I got older is 80% of the time, they don't even break that deck open. They don't even look at that damn thing. It's just something that he's going to carry just in case.
I'm going to put Omar's link for his website in here so you guys can check that out. And also, you guys right now see below us, see over there, if my pointing is correct, you see the link to his book. So I'm going to put this stuff up. And this is, by the way, and I want to mention Podmatch to everybody because we met through Podmatch. It's just not a veteran to veteran kind of connection. It's this fantastic service. Not being paid to say this, but if you want to be a guest on things, if you run a podcast, you're like, how do I book guests? Podmatch. Right. Again, don't care. No link. I could put a link in front of you, but this is just a straight endorsement of something that I think is professional grade and fantastic for podcast folks. So Omar has his website. There it is. And all the things you're talking about when you say certain words to us, I was looking for jobs. Nobody really wanted to hire me because, I don't know, that part of the system is still broken. But I was looking for a job at the local electric authority in the Bay Area where I live.
Right.
And I got an automated email back my job, Omar, was going to be the veteran liaison between them and the community, right? And so they said, you failed to meet the minimum standard. And I'm like, the fuck if I didn't? I've got a goddamn master's degree and I'm a veteran. How much, what the fuck is the standard, right? But those words. And so I sent an email over to the CEO and I'm like, hey, when you write stuff like that, we believe you.
Right.
We believe you in a way that you can't comprehend. Failed to meet the minimums. You just called me a shitbag.
That's right. That's right. It's like telling you, hey, man, you didn't pass the PT test. You weren't able to navigate your soldiers out of the field. So we're not going to give you a platoon. You got to sit in the S shop. So yes, we take the words failure, don't meet the standard, aren't good enough to heart. And it's if you tell me that, then you also need to tell me what I need to do to get to the standard. Yeah. And that's a big thing that's missing in the civilian world with not all leaders, but most, is that you give people feedback, but it's not actually a feedback. It's actually a critique, and you're not actually helping them fix whatever problem that you're seeing, if there ever is really a problem. And then when they try to dig into the problem, I've seen managers go ghost and just not want to talk about it with folks. And that's the wrong way to go, especially with the veteran, because we're so used to getting that feedback almost instantaneously when we're doing something good, bad, whatever.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's fine to fail at a task,
Right.
It's fine to you didn't pass the PT test. Here comes Sarge. You will get into the leading rest every day, 10 a.m. in front of my office, and whatever, right? And there will be corrective action, and it's fine. Matter of fact, sometimes it's great for a person because they don't know how to navigate something, and the Army hasn't identified it, or the military, whatever military branch it is.
Right.
And so, like, oh, you suck at push-ups. I know how to fix that. You don't, and you lack the motivation to do it. I'm going to provide that motivation to you. And so you will be at the leaning rest in front of my office at 10 a.m. every day, and you're going to do push-ups to failure. And I'm going to do it with you, motherfucker. And so
but you see the beautiful thing in what you just said.
Yeah.
You as the manager, boss, whatever, you're giving some of your time back to that soldier, trooper, airman, etc., to make them better. So you're giving them a piece of yourself. Like, that is servant leadership at its finest.
Yeah. And there's a pretty good chance that gunny or that E6 or whoever it was going to be, who's like, you'll be at my office at 10 a.m. in the leaning rest, and I'll do push-ups with you. And we're going to get you not just to exceed the minimum standard, but to max, because it only takes so much time from almost everybody who's in the military to max those push-ups up. Someone above them is like, guns, get in here, fix Turner now.
Yep.
And he means ASAP.
That's right.
And so
do it.
So he's being mentored. Like, oh man, I thought he was a dirtbag, but he's not a dirtbag. He's my warrior, and I've got to figure out how to do it. And again, so when you're talking to us, we're not dumb, we're not incapable, but there's certain things in our ethos that we pick up when we do this job that make us a bit of a rough fit for organizations, especially when you underestimate what we're capable of and what we have done, and when you don't know how to mentor and lead, right? We feel that, and it makes us feel untethered. I would say in general. I'm not speaking for veterans in general, but I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, I think so. And people like to put veterans in a box, and that's tough because when I look at my platoon, white, black, Asian, some people from Africa, some people from Dominican Republic. So we had a whole hodgepodge of people with different experiences, different backgrounds, etc. And when you go to war, hard training, whatever, everybody responds to that stuff differently. And we know this is a fact. And so when you try to put everybody from the military into a box, it's really tough because most civilians, especially in corporate America, may not even have ties to the military. So they may think a logistics officer is the same as an infantry officer, et cetera. And so they tie everybody together with what they're going to do, et cetera, depending on the organization. And so you have an additional job as a veteran to break that stigma so that we can actually get to the work.
Yeah. Get to where the work is, man. That's a mantra for me. Right. I mean, again, this is you getting that. I need from you, Omar. I need that briefing on my desk, 8 a.m., and you're like, fuck me, that's 10 hours of work. And it's already 10 p.m., like, so you have no minutes to spare. You pour your heart into this because you will not fail this task.
That's right.
And then you see in that Google Doc, never even opened it. I'll say this right now. Anybody watching, if you're in the professional world, even if they're not veterans, if you do that to somebody, you don't even realize you've done it. You've just taken a bit of the heart out of them. And their willingness to fight for you or to take you seriously, if you didn't even look at their work, you've got to mentor yourself out of that. You've got to figure out how to fix that because you have failed. You lost. One of the things I did, Omar, you'll appreciate this, is I helped the commander win more and lose less, help the enemy lose more and win less. And so when that happens, when I see a commander, probably more a sergeant major, when I see them not being able to do their very best at that thing because they're missing something, like let's say a patrol isn't meeting the standard in terms of safety. I see guys climbing on an end ramp and they're not all wearing helmets. I got to go to the sergeant major and be like, hey man, this isn't spy stuff, but it is, because I
Right.
got to roll with these guys, and I need you to make sure that you know about this so you can fix this. Because if they're not wearing helmets, well, what else is missing, right?
That's
And
right.
so when we have these guys that go out and pour their heart into something for you, you don't kind of tell them they're great when they're not great. You might have to do a lot of work to get that person up to speed. But if you don't even check after you ask them, because that's what we heard stay up all night, you know?
Yeah. I mean, even even if you don't open the file, at least stop by the desk and say thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate the work you did on that, right? Like that goes a long way. If you don't open my document, but then you tell me, thank you, it was a fire drill. I know you're a person I
Mhm.
can count on. Really appreciate it. False alarm. We're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I got you. I
Yeah.
got your support, even if it's a false alarm. And
Yeah.
you come back to me and you tell me that you appreciate me, and
Yeah.
then you give me a Starbucks card and tell me you're taking me out to lunch or something. Now we can deal. We're good.
Let's go back into the military world a little bit with that lesson. So you're a West Point guy. West Point. This is just Pete's perception of a lot of officers I've seen. West Point guys show up more business ready, less socially strong than the guys that go through other channels to go
Mm-hmm,
become an
mm-hmm.
officer. And so if the task is stay up all night and do this mundane thing, you guys will do that and it will be incredible. Like that is a place when you guys are young warriors, that is something you guys do at a level that the state school kids can't do. So when you ask that of somebody and you don't open it, you're right. You're obliged to acknowledge it and say, wait a second, because you have to learn the standard too. So here's the thing. Here's if everybody watching. This is the thing with officers, especially, is you don't sleep, you don't eat, you don't sleep unless your guys are doing the same thing, and that
Mm-hmm.
means oftentimes there's more work for you to do in a day. Again, the 36-hour day. So someone has to come to you at some point in the cab and say, "I see you, Omar. I see you working. I see you meeting the standard. Now I need to see you go get some rest because I need you in better condition to be in front of your warriors because you are overly exhausted, right? And
Right.
it might be 4 days in a row that you're like, I haven't slept, haven't had a chance. I've been busy the entire time. And so you have to learn how to meter that to take care of yourself so you can be the standard for your guys.
Yeah. And let me, so the best compliment I think I've ever gotten in the military is, so I never would announce that I was a West Point guy.
Okay.
And so it just wasn't something that I was gonna do. Not gonna announce that. And so I got my scout platoon. I had been with these guys 4 or 5 months, and we're at the National Training Center, NTC, Fort Irwin, California. And my driver turns over, looks at me, he says, "Hey, sir, one thing I never asked you, what college did you go to?" And so I looked back at him. I said, "Hey, man, guess what do you think I went to school?" And he was like, University of Miami. You seem like a fun guy. You seem like, and best compliment I ever got. And then I looked
Yeah.
back at him. I said, "Hey, man, I went to West Point." And he's like, "Get the hell out of here, man. You didn't go to West Point. Like, you take care of business, but you're so laid back about it, not stresses." And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, dude, that's what you see. I'm stressed as hell, but I'm shielding you guys from the BS back at Garrison,
Yeah.
because that's the platoon sergeant's time, right? So I'm shielding you from
Right.
all the background noise, the paperwork. I'm doing all that. But when we get to the field, it's my time out in the field,
Yeah.
right? And so that was probably the best compliment I think I've ever received
Yeah.
professionally.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a compliment because there is that thing that you all do that is it is professional as fuck. You guys are light years ahead of your and like everybody gets caught up, right? Everybody gets caught up at some point. But yeah, to get that, I can appreciate why that resonated with you. And I learned to talk to the younger officers and say, this is something I notice about you, because
Mhm.
even here's the thing. I want to hear your thoughts on this. I don't belong to the unit most times when I got there, right? I'm an asset that comes in and I help them, or
Right,
they arrive onto my location and now it's their location. And so I am a leader within that organization, even if I'm a one person team,
right.
because I am making sure that we're connected and amplifying. And no one's going to look around and be like, oh, there's Turner. That guy's a leader, motherfucker. but I am constantly trying to make that unit better within the bounds of what I do. I'm not the commander, never trying to be the commander. We're all pulling on the rope for the commander to make sure he wins, but you can lead internally in a way that is often tough to see and thankless, but that's what guys like us do, though. We're like,
Right.
this is how you make this organization better.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head in talking about everybody's a leader, right? Even Joe, even the smallest PD2 can be a leader. Even that analyst at a bank or a corporate, the person stocking the shelves can be a leader in their own regard, right? And so that's important to really notice that, and as a manager leader, really encourage that onto your people, because when you do that, what people start to do is take initiative, make things happen without you telling them to make those things happen. When they see that you trust them and that you're going to give them the leeway to show you what they can do. And I love that. And that's something that I've always done, both in the military and also in the civilian world. But Pete, I am business though. And I talk about it in my book, West Point to Wall Street. When I got to my unit, the first thing I had to do as lieutenant, I need to see, I was a tank platoon leader to start with. I need to see all 200 pieces of equipment, lay it out. And in the book, I'm telling you, I had a conversation and guys were giving me, just trying to test me like, oh, sir, we got it. It's back in the shed. Oh, sir, you don't need to see that. Trust us, the tank wouldn't run without it. Yeah. That's great, guys, but I still want to see it.
Yeah.
And I felt like they appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah. Command inventory. It's a real thing. And the thing that where the military often, and this is intel, folks, we're not the greatest at this, but I was in an intel unit. And so every time we did a command inventory, I hated it. I'm like, oh, this is fucking awful. Why are we doing this shit?
Right.
No one ever said, hey, Omar is responsible for every piece of equipment. He has to see it. He has to see the number. And so the sooner we get this done, the sooner he can say, yes, I accept this responsibility. So let's deal with the fact that we have to deal with this by just dealing with it. I didn't know that. No one took the time to explain that. So I'm like, why are you being such a nitpicky person? I have it, like I didn't know. I didn't realize until later. I'm like, oh, if I just bring all 800 pieces of gear that I'm responsible for and just lay them out in front of you, put the numbers up and just be the most squared away at that's me exceeding the standard,
That's
but
right.
No one ever explained it like that. They're just like, just do it. And I'm like, what do you mean just do it? I mean, and yes, I should have just done it, but I never understood the purpose.
It's like, would you get into a car that you've never driven before and take a road trip if the gas meter was broken?
Yeah. No, I mean, you would account for something, right? You'd be like, oh, wait a second. Yeah. Or if you got bald tires or whatever it is,
That's right.
Yeah.
You want to actually know that there's gas in that car.
Yeah. Right. How much oil is in it, right? Yeah. Check fluids and everything. That's a fair way to look at like what does this troop have?
What do we have? And God forbid you get deployed, and because you've never actually fired the weapons, you get out there on the battlefield and the daggone weapon doesn't work. I mean, I've had 50 cals jam in the middle of combat, and it's like, oh my goodness, man, did you do everything you needed to do from a maintenance perspective to keep this baby from jamming? Because once that 50 gets humming, it's humming. So for it to jam, it's something you did wrong on the front end.
Yep. Yeah. We had a 60 in my intel battalion in our company. We had a 60. And what do a bunch of counterintelligence agents need with an M60? But that's how we were provisioned. And I was an armorer in that unit. And I knew that it was broken. I often got tasked with carrying it, even though I wasn't authorized to shoot it because I hadn't shot and qualified on it. I still got, you get to carry this everything around. And it was fun. I'm not going to complain about that. But it would fall apart, Omar, fall all the way apart while I shot it. And you have to pick all the pieces back up, put it back together. It would shoot for a little while. I tried to get that thing fixed, but they never wanted to, because it was an old obsolete gun. Ultimately, they were never going to fix it, right? But I tried to finally, I'm like, you guys just don't want to fix this thing. So we had to carry it around. I knew it was non-operational. I wouldn't let anybody else shoot it once it started falling apart. That's dangerous. But yeah, just those little things that happen in your military career where there's these things are supposed to happen and you're trying to do your best and you still need that leader to say, redirect. Pete, we all know the M60 is broken. We're not going to send it to the 3 shop because it's broken and we're just going to let it die. Like we just have to keep it on the books.
Right.
But the commander doesn't want to hear about that. They want to hear about who the M60 gunner is,
But from a leader perspective, it's the same thing in corporate America. You have a report, you got to get it to your boss every week, even though you guys just spent millions of dollars on a new system that makes this thing obsolete. However, sometimes what the bosses want to be able to do is check the old report against the new report from the new system until they get comfortable with that new system. And so inadvertently, it's calling on the folks, the underlings, to do more work, even though it's not necessarily required until it's proven. And as a leader, you have to really give them the rationale for why this is happening.
I know we're kind of doing these differences, but I'm enjoying the compare and contrast between one world and the other. Although I would imagine Wall Street is a lot like combat. I mean, the pace of operations, the intensity, it's a different world, but it's got to be similar. Is that a fair comparison?
The stress level, yes. And the reason why is because when you're in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, you wear that uniform and it's your badge of honor, right? It's what you do. For most of us, it becomes like what we do. It describes us. When you go into the civilian world, and depending on where you work at and who you are, like I became JP Morgan Chase. I became Bank of America. And my uniform switched from a combat camouflage to a Wall Street vest with a JP Morgan Chase logo on it, right? So first it was a suit, and then the mid 2000s hit, and then it became like a finance bro vest. And so you have a pride in your craft, what you're doing. You're also competing against the other banks, other teams, and even teams within the team to be successful because your compensation is tied to that. And so one of the things that I had to unravel when I left corporate America is, wait a minute, I'm me. I'm not JP Morgan Chase. I'm not Wells Fargo. Like, I'm me. And it took me about a year to understand that it's okay that you're not working at one of those places now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I hadn't really considered that, but there is, God, that you kind of fucked me up there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, dude, it's your swagger. It actually becomes not about the money. It becomes about being able to say like where you work at.
Yeah. I mean, every unit you're proud of being in that unit. You also hate it, and you're also, like they always say, like the best and worst unit. Like,
well,
let me left.
I'll go even deeper with you. So when I was at business school, and I went to business school at Columbia because I wanted to be in New York City, and so I remember sitting at a table with like my classmates, and again, I'm coming straight out of the military. I don't know what the heck it is I want to do, but I'm with my study group, and they're like, should I go to Goldman Sachs or Lehman Brothers? Should I go to JP Morgan Chase or Bear Stearns? And they're really comparing, like, they started tearing these companies out. So if you got into Goldman in 2007, you were it. And if you got to Lehman, you were great.
Yeah.
Bear Stearns the same. But if you went to Bank of America to do iBanking, you were kind of a scrub. I went to Bank of America to do iBanking, so I was kind of a scrub. That because I was the guy they picked after the other guys went to the other places to tell Bank of America no. So there becomes a pecking order. So when eventually, so 10 years later, when I got the job at JP Morgan Chase, Pete, you couldn't tell me nothing, man. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't God's gift to Wall Street, man. You couldn't tell me that. And when I left that place, and even though I went on to become a CFO of a $1 billion company, I still felt incomplete because I didn't have that JP Morgan Chase logo on me anymore.
Yeah. It also reminds us that give it 18 months and all that shit can change. You worked at Bear Stearns? Oh.
That's right. Well, I mean, listen, you could be, dude, like I went to Wells Fargo in 2020, and I was extremely successful at Wells Fargo until they laid me off. Right? so like, you can, I get called in the office one day. They're like, hey man, we're reorganizing. Thank you. We'll pay you money for this year. Good luck. And so it took me probably 4 or 5 months to feel like a normal human being again. At the same time, I'm going through like my PTSD awakening and coming to terms with knowing that I needed a lot of help there. And so I had 5 or 6 months where I couldn't get out of bed, Pete. I will tell you. And it's been a journey for me over the last year just to realize that I'm me. I can get it done. I don't need to have those things behind me to do what I want to do.
Yeah. When I was young, I used to fight as boxer. Nothing crazy, but just using as an example. And as I got a little older, I knew where my hand was supposed to be, but my hand was here.
Right.
And I can see that. And I can see that same thing with my performance. Like right now, I've got this, I've got a deck to create, and it's going to take me time to do it. It's absolutely creatable. It's not even hard. It's enjoyable. I'm having trouble doing it, right? And that's partly because my PTSD causes these things to happen, and I have to reset my expectations,
right,
and how I respond to these things. I'll get this thing done, right? And here's the thing: it doesn't even got to be great. It doesn't even got to be. It's just a draft. I just need to submit a draft so we can go, oh, let's make these changes, because it's not my product, it's our product. But there's a bubble around it that would never have been there before. I would have already had it done and turned in. I don't have that capacity anymore reliably, right? So I have to not destroy myself emotionally, end up in bed, unable to do anything, and completely miss the timeline.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I want to stay on the topic of PTSD. Yeah. So I play a lot of golf. And one of the guys that I play with, he's special forces, community guy, great dude. And we were talking about VA disability ratings, because that's what veterans do. We talk about our VA disability rating. And he had just gotten to 100%. And so he's got to 100%. I said, man, that's great. I'm glad to see you at 100%. And he was like, yeah, I hadn't done anything for my PTSD, and I got rated at 50%. I said, man, 50%. So what do you do about the PTSD? He's like, oh, they gave me some pills and I have to go to some therapy sessions. But since I got my rating, I don't like the pills. They make me very tired, sleepy, whatever. And I don't really like going to therapy. So I said, brother, you just going to do nothing? Like you're just going to do nothing. So you got the check, but you're going to do nothing. Does that? And I said, look, you're a smart guy. You're a financial advisor to people. Does that make sense? Like, how would you feel if you gave your folks financial advice and it was good financial advice?
Yeah.
And then they came back to you and said, we did none of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is one of the most relevant and obvious things in the world. If you're drinking every night before you go to bed, if you are, I bet that Green Beret was a hard ass. I bet he'd go out and swing a hammer all day long. It was in fantastic shape, or was running or doing something athletic, right? And the other thing I always say is, if you can see my PTSD on my chest right here, you see that weeping wound, you'd be like, Jesus Christ, Pete, slow down, calm down. Hey, take it easy. We'll get this done. Let's go at a pace you can handle, or whatever it is, right? But we can't see it. And so we act like it's not there. Even us ourselves who has the wound. What do you mean? That's nothing. Like, dude, something. And so we get stuck with these things. And so I'm like, hey, you're a hard ass Green Beret. I know that right now there are no trees and you're on your hunk of land out there because you've cut down every one because you can't fucking sit down and relax
Mm-hmm.
because you refuse to work on, and I'm picking on Green Berets in this case, but you refuse to work on the hard part, getting better. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you don't like group therapy. Well, either one, work through it and figure it out, and maybe group therapy is not for you. Change groups, but treat that shit like you do everything else. Be relentless at it. And
Mm-hmm.
I developed that skill. I didn't want to do that stuff, and group therapy probably not for me, because it's just a lot of sitting there, and I get anxious because I'm like,
Right.
I let me get that barbell and get to work on it. So we all have to fight that thing. And maybe exercise is your therapy, but you have to sort that out. Like if I go swim, it's impossible for me to feel bad when I get out. It's a therapy session, it's a meditation, it's a workout. It also challenges me to repress my ego because my ego wants me to outswim my body because my body
Right.
won't do it anymore. And so I know if I feel bad, I can go swim and I will feel better. And if I'm at my best, I'll be in the pool, or
Exactly.
I do jujitsu now, right? So I can go do that, and I come out, and I'm in some condition of better. I might be in pain, I might be whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
I will
Mm-hmm.
be better when I'm done with that session.
Yeah, but I love the analogy of comparing it to working out. So
Yeah,
I tell people, I do therapy once a week on Wednesdays at 9
right.
a.m. So every Wednesday we do therapy, and every Tuesday before the Wednesday comes, I'm thinking of 15 different excuses why I shouldn't be going to this therapy session that I can send to my therapist
Yep.
every Tuesday. And you know what it's likened to? It's like when I have to go to the gym sometimes, and I
Mm,
know I need to go get that workout in, but I'm making up every excuse not to do that workout. Oh, I got something outside I got to do. Oh, I need to go play with the kid, etc. But
mm-hmm,
in both instances, when I get to that therapy session or I get to that gym, I'm
mm-hmm.
glad that I came in to do it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And when I see that bottle or a glass of whiskey in my hand, even if I'm not going to get drunk that night, every time I'm like, maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe I
Right.
can do something else. Maybe make it. I'm not saying don't drink whiskey. I'm not saying don't smoke cigars. But if it's a way to cope as opposed to a way to say this is a treat, I've done the work this week,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to drink on Wednesday night or whatever it's going to be that you do. Then yeah, okay. But there are too many of us, and this is not just veterans. Anybody. Like yeah, I drank a glass of wine. And it's a 16-ounce glass of wine. It's like that's not a glass, right? That's a problem in the making. And even if you're not an alcoholic, you're not acting like someone who's taking care of themselves. You're acting like someone who's degrading, and that's just a good sign that something mentally is not in check.
Mm-hmm. I talk about this in my book West Point to Wall Street.
Mm,
I actually, Pete, used to, and this is in the military. When I came back from the desert, I got into a habit of filling my water bottle with white rum or vodka
yeah,
and giving myself a cocktail all throughout the day. So wherever I went, I had a bottle of rum or vodka with me. And it wasn't stopping me from being successful whatsoever because I wasn't getting drunk off of it
hmm,
per se, but I was exhibiting tendencies of an alcoholic because I needed the drink to help me get through the day, and it was
yeah,
definitely a coping mechanism. And the only thing that stopped me from continuing that trend is that I actually got called back to West Point to work in the Office of Admissions. And I knew if I went back to West Point and did that, I was going to get caught. And it was
yeah,
and what they were going to do to me was going to be very violent in terms of UCMJ.
yeah,
So it was
yeah.
a blessing in disguise getting sent back there because I had to clean my act up really quickly.
But how many folks get that and they walk the tightrope instead, right?
That's
Because
right.
because we struggle with that. And then okay, so let's take it off the individual. how does someone working with someone, peer, mentor, how do they navigate that?
I think the way that we have to navigate it, and I watched you and Scott talk earlier, is to have real authentic conversations
Yeah,
and not just in passing. Really
yeah,
trying to understand how somebody is doing. And
yeah,
if they're doing something like that and you smell that on their breath, ask them. I mean, have a conversation about if you feel comfortable doing that, and try to figure out what's going on, with that individual. And if you're close enough to them, if there's somebody that you talk to a lot or you consider them a friend, etc., then try to work with them and try to figure out how to get them some help. What you shouldn't be doing is not acknowledging it and then talking about this person behind their back, right? Or acting like there isn't a problem because you don't want to spend any time trying to get involved. Because when people do that, what happens is that nobody's checking up on Pete in a serious
yeah.
fashion. And then Pete goes off and commits suicide. And then I should have been the one to have a conversation with him. I'm the first one to say, man, I just talked to him last week. Everything was going great. And it's like, you knew that everything wasn't actually going great and you missed an opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And to know what to do, scary because you don't. And it might be that the conversation. I got a buddy who he lost his dad. And he was really close with his dad, and he called me the other day. And I know when he's calling me because we don't talk that much. We talk when we
Right.
can, and we're really good friends, but we don't need a lot of maintenance. When he calls me, I know what he's going through, and so I now have to decide which person am I. And again, I don't know if you heard this, Scott and I. We're people that people call when there's things going on, whether someone's died or they're dealing with stuff. And am I just going to listen? Am I going to coach? Am I going to let them vent at me in a way that they can't vent because I don't give a fuck, right? Like, yeah, if you need
Right.
to get shit off your chest, you need to get nasty with me. I know that doesn't belong to me. And I
Right.
have the ability to just drop that on the ground, be like, get it out, and I've conducted a bunch of these exorcisms with us when we can't turn it off, that colonel that's going to get the next sweet assignment, but they're never going to get that star, but they just can't get, you've done enough. You can now live for you. You've done enough, right? So what friend am I going to be in that moment? Are we going to talk about it? Are we going to talk around it? Do you just need to talk and you're going to be fine? But that's, Omar, that's not a comfortable place to be for most people. I've built up this muscle. It's big, but
Right.
I didn't start that
Hey,
way.
man, Pete, so you just talked about something that just happened to me recently. So
Yeah.
I'm West Point class of 2000. We're 25 years out. So people are starting to get their stars now. We just had
Yeah.
half a dozen people put on their stars, and people that people that didn't think they were going to get their stars are getting their stars.
Yeah.
People that thought they were going to get their stars, they're not getting their stars.
Right.
And I have a buddy, and my buddy, you know, Colonel, double below the zone, was tracking with the class of 1998, and he's been a colonel for a while, and he thought that he was going to get his star, and then he didn't get it. And so we were at our reunion, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, what, he was telling me why he didn't get his star. And I was like, well, tell me more about that. So come to find out, the 4-star told him that he needed to go serve a 3-star, has his aide de camp or whatever they do as colonels for 3
Yeah.
stars. And he decided that he wanted to keep his post because his post was a 1-star post. And so he had a conversation, and the big boss said, okay, man, you can keep your post, fine. And then 2 months later, the big guy said, you're not going to get your star, man. You didn't make it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I gave it some time, but I said to him later on, I said, hey, man, listen, you knew, because we know from day one at the academy, if the boss says go, you go.
That's right.
You don't have a choice. I
Yeah.
said, so basically, what you're telling me is you wanted to have your cake and eat it too, and you can't always have that. And
Right.
so I said, what I recommend for you is like have a real conversation with yourself about it. I'm also comfortable having a conversation, but maybe you need to get a therapist and talk this out a bit. And he's like, yeah. So come to find out, this same guy, as soon as he got out of retired as a colonel, he grabbed a few bags of clothes and moved to the Dominican Republic because he wasn't married, didn't have a wife, etc. So he's out of the country. And
Yeah.
so I wrote him, I said, see, that's what you actually wanted to do. You wanted to go live overseas and under the radar at 50 versus doing it at 55, 60 years old. So it wasn't actually the 4-star, it was you.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of power in that, man. And
Right.
because of what we do, and we'll just keep it in the academy, if you know someone who has poured their heart into something, and you might be 50-50, maybe you're 60-40, maybe you're 40-60 to get a star, right? But you've got a pretty good idea of how much energy is in your career. And I
Right.
learned this from you all, right? Like
Right.
from talking to, if you're a
Right.
brigade DCO, you're probably not getting a star.
That's right.
Because that
That's
job
right.
is like, hey man, this is a great job. You're going to deploy. You're going to be the boss's right hand man. You're going to handle all these things because you're capable as fuck. But your career is out of energy, and so you might even get a star, but you're not getting one. And this, it going in. You're like, oh man, here's where I'm at. And then a lot of who we all are, you're like, well, I'm going to double down, but you already doubled down. But I'm going to double down again. And I am going to show them. And you will work in spite of your own trajectory.
That's right.
On a 2% chance, right? It happens all the time. And you're laughing because we know these people and they're wonderful, capable people. But you get to say, that's enough. I'm now going to go live for me. I'm going to do the thing that I meant to do, whatever that thing is. And if you don't know, well, that's where your work begins.
And Pete, that's exactly why I'm on this show talking to you right now, is because I made the decision to do what it is that I want to do, that I love. And there's two things that I love to talk about and to help people with. Number one, personally, it's the mental health challenge. I want to make it so that whether you're a veteran, a civilian, I want you to understand that it's okay to take care of yourself and talk about mental health.
Yeah.
I want you to understand that you don't need a lot of money to get your mental health addressed. There's hundreds of nonprofits that do this stuff for free. All of these big organizations pay somebody, so they're taking money out of your check every month so that you can have a mental health conversation, and you're not using that. I did it. I paid into it for 20 years and didn't use it until my 20th year. And it's worked out, great for me. And so the thing about it is that there's all these resources out there, but at the end of the day, the resources out there don't matter at all unless you, the individual, fights that hijacking that's going on in your mind and raise your hand and go get that help.
Yeah. There's one more of these battles that I wanted to bring up, and I love all of you. Everybody, look, here's just in case you guys don't know. Omar, in this world, you're supposed to say like and subscribe, like everybody doesn't fucking know already. You guys all know what to do. Go to omarritter.com, right? And learn what a fractional CFO is. If you guys don't know and you have a small business, ding, ding, ding. I'm pushing the button, ding, 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 ding. Fractional CFO, fractional marketing person, fractional. You don't have to have a CFO every day at your business.
That's right.
Omar's got the credentials. We know that. So go check out omarritter.com. And also, let's not forget the book. Let's plug that. That down there. There it is. There's the link. And you know what I always say? Buddy read. Buy 2. Books make great gifts. This is the season, as you can see by our logo.
It's the sad season. I get sad every December, January, February because I'm not a big gift person and everybody's trying to outdo each other. I'm also a December 21st baby. So I get a little down every holiday season, especially when I was working in corporate because I was still trying to grind when people were going on vacation. And so this book can help get you back on the track by saying, this guy went through it, he did it, so can I.
Yeah. There's a couple things that I really want to get into, and I want to wrap up the other part about our conversation about mental health and what you have to
Mhm.
do for yourself in the military world, but especially in the corporate world. Oh, it's Pete and Omar, last two guys. We're going to give the sweet cherry contested job. Boy, this title is going to be great. VP of whatever, mergers and acquisitions. Man, oh man, we go through this whole thing, and we're collegial because we're both confident, we're both guys.
Mhm.
I like you. We've had drinks, all that kind of thing. Pete doesn't get the job. The next thing that Pete is supposed to do is go to my boss and go, well, what do you have in line for me? And they're going to be like, just hang in there. No. I'm sorry. No, that ship sailed. You guys, we had this thing. You guys picked Omar. God bless. If you don't have something else for me, it's time for me to go because they are now done with it. Even if it's a razor thin difference, even if you were the better candidate and you have to be prepared to walk away from that job because
Right.
they are no longer invested in you. And that's terrifying as fuck when you're going for a big job like that.
Right.
It's, you have to stand up for yourself, promote yourself.
You have to stand up for yourself. You have to promote yourself. And yet another reason why I'm sitting here talking to Pete today, because there was a job and I was the guy for the job. And I let it be known, I'm the guy for this job.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, you're not the guy for this job. We're going to actually put somebody who was below you in this job because we just like them better than we like you. Despite all the good work that you've done for us over the last 3 years. Yeah. And so for me, I had to say, mentally, this is going to put a drain on me having to report to somebody that I know I'm more talented than. Also, everyone across the organization just knew that I was going to get that job. And so when I didn't, it was going to turn into me explaining to somebody why I didn't get a job when I had no selection in the process, right? It happened to me. I didn't go out there and I had nothing to do with the decision. And so I had a couple of choices to make. Do I sit around and be miserable? Or when they start doing layoffs, do I raise my hand and say, I'm good to go as well? And I chose option number 2.
Yeah.
Because I knew I would be able to figure out what was next for me. And entrepreneurship, writing my book and being able to talk about mental health and help small business owners with finance is just a passion of mine. And when you're chasing your passion, the money's going to come.
Yeah. Yeah. The reality is when that day comes and they decide, you need to be willing to slide that resignation letter across the desk. Like, this is my resignation. If you'd like me to submit it, I will. If you have something else, because there is that thing too, where they go, oh no shit, Omar's going to leave. Because they sometimes are completely fucking unaware,
right?
Because they're working at the pace of business. And as you like, it's fast.
It's fast.
And they're like, oh, we're going to lose him. Oh shit. What do you want to do? Because I have a friend like that. He's like, hey, you didn't pick me. I can't stay in that condition. And he threw the little thing. If you have something else in mind, then let's figure it out. But not 2 years from now, like now.
Right.
Otherwise, and they had no idea he was ready to walk away because he had a great gig. And they let him basically invent his own job, and he's still there. But they just about lost him. But if he wouldn't have done that, he would have been brokenhearted. He still would have done the job, but it would have been bad for him overall, mental health wise. And so now he was able to, because he took charge of it, he was able to fix it. But he didn't. It was uncomfortable.
Right.
It was uncomfortable.
Right. And that's great. That's great for him. They told me to kick rocks. So
no, listen, that's the norm, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's I have this saying. I used to always tell people that work for me. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you want something, you have to raise your hand and ask for it, because nobody's trying to read your mind in corporate America. Most people are thinking about themselves and their next journey and for their career. And so you have to speak up, and you also have to take charge of your own career. Don't wait for somebody else to take charge of it for you, because most times ain't going to happen.
Yeah. And that idea of, I'm going to promote myself, hey, I was going to go to the competition because guess what? They're ready to give me that gig,
Right.
or I don't need all this. I don't, you see, like if you do your passion, the money will follow, right? It doesn't have to be a lot of money because,
Right.
like, if someone was to hire Pete, we'll just talk Pete specifically. I have so much freedom. I have so much joy. I have so much value. It's not all financial, and I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at. But it would take a lot of money to buy my time, to make me do something that I'm not all interested in
Right.
doing. So there's value in the quality of my life, and my show gives me so many opportunities that I can only take on so many. And so when someone tries to elbow in onto my plate and try to get some of my capacity, I charge what I'm comfortable charging. Now, maybe
Right.
maybe I do someone a favor and take some less money because I want to help them out. That's up to me. But
Right.
if you're asking, and I'll say, is this a Pete and Omar thing, or is this a Pete and a corporation thing? Because those are two pricing levels that are different.
That's right.
But that's because I've built a world that allows me to have that flexibility to say, this is what this costs. Because I don't necessarily want to do it, but I have the capacity and I'm glad to trade that, but it's going to cost this. And if it's
Right.
not worth that to you, then no harm, no foul.
And I, you know what, I called it money, and I should probably reverse. It's not all about money. You're right. It's about
Sure.
utils.
Yeah.
And utils is just on a scale of 1 to 10. How does this make me feel? And if this one's closer to 10, then that's where I need to be at.
Yeah. 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 I've got a friend who's desperate to find another corporate job that he knows he's going to hate. And he's so particular and so picky about what he's willing to do that he's out of balance. And there's too much drinking going on, all this kind of stuff, right? And sadly, there's a few of my friends that like, no, he's talking about me. Because that's the reality of it. But you've got to find it. So it could be that you go work and you do this incredible job, and it's something that you withstand for 8 hours, at least in this season of your life. But outside of that, you're doing charity or you're playing kickball or whatever it is,
Right.
and you're balancing. I've got a bunch of buddies that work at a refinery. And one of them is great. He's like, I skateboard when I'm not working. I don't think about work at all. When I'm there, 100% professional. But I'm not there when I'm not there. I just leave and I go do other shit. It feeds my lifestyle. Yeah.
And that's what we got to, it's choices are hard and people got to make decisions. But, first and foremost, you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah. So when you start a fractional CFO gig, obviously you're going to speak and all this stuff's on omarritter.com. You guys can see all this stuff. But when you decide to do that, it's hard, man, to stand out in this field. It's crowded, right? But it's also got to be rewarding. I mean, I'm a small business. Maybe I probably will talk to you right after we get off done with this. But how do you hunt? How do you kill and bring home meat for yourself in this world? Because it is hyper competitive. It's hard to even exist. You're on Podmatch because you're trying to exist more, right?
Right. Well, I would say for Focus CFO, the organization that I'm a part of, and I don't work for Focus CFO. I'm actually a fractional CFO and an area president, which means I bought into the franchise.
Right.
The reason why I brought into this franchise is because you can't even be at Focus CFO and do CFO work if you weren't, one, a CFO, and two, have 20 or more years of experience in this field, right? So that's what separates us from the rest of the shops that are out there saying that they're fractional CFOs. We've actually been full-time CFOs. We've actually sat in the seat. And our CFOs, we have 180 of them. They're actually on the downslope of their career. So they only want to work 2-3 times a day. Like they're financially in a place where they can do that. And so that's a real differentiator from us is you're only going to get somebody fractionally, which means you pay a fraction of the cost. But we're going to think about your organization more than the time you actually pay us for. That's 100% for certain. And you get another person in the room that's very seasoned. I won't talk about age, that has an owner you can sit down and toss some things out for and have them give you some feedback on. And they don't necessarily work for you. So it's not like you don't have to be a yes man as a fractional CFO. You can tell the person, nah, man, that's a bad idea. I've seen it before in my 30 years. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do in your business, but I'm telling you, it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know, we really try to work on a few things with the business. We want to look at the foundation of the business, make sure they have proper reporting, make sure they understand their cash flow, inventory, etc. Then once we do that, we want to work on the business's health, make sure they have 3 to 5 year forecasts and having the proper meetings with staff. Everybody knows the commander's intent. Then we can start focusing on how we're going to grow this business. And once we get that thing growing, we need to be talking to the owner about, let's say you want to exit this thing in 5 to 10 years. Can we put it in a position where you can actually get money for selling this business? Because 80% of owners who think they're going to sell their business don't actually sell their business. Like nobody wants it. Like nobody wants an owner-centric business where the owner is the marketer, the finance person, the sales guy, etc. Because if all the contracts are a handshake with you and your family members or your buddies, that's not a viable business. I'll just let you go out of business, and then I'll go do my work for much cheaper to win those clients, because now there's a void, and I'll step in to fill that void. And so we help put you. We're not bookkeepers or CPA accountants. We can help you. Those folks help you understand where you are and what we do. So it's a rear view mirror look. What we're trying to do is help you get to where you want to be, where you need to be to have sustainable, transferable business value. And that's the difference with having a real fractional CFO, but specifically using Focus CFO.
Yeah. Man, what a great hunk of time that was right there. Do you got another 5 minutes for me? I want to bring something up along the same lines, but more personal, right? Like we see a lot of political narrative and complaining about money and the cost of things. And look, I'm not making a political statement. I'm just saying we see a lot of this talk. Pete would say we need a CFO in our life. You know, if you're a young person and you want to save up $100,000 outside of your regular workday, trade the value of your car and go deliver meals, go drive and give rides. And you can't, if you insist, this is the West Point guy, the combat guy, you know, the guys, I mean, if you're like, I'm going to work 400 days in a row and I will not stop working until I have $100 extra, within a short amount of time, you got that tens of thousands of dollars piled up if you choose to do that. That is possible in this country. Is that the only way to do this? No, but that is so low a bar to entry to get an extra $100,000 to where you could go buy whatever you want to buy in terms of a franchise or a business or anything. We can all do that. If you just did that and you didn't buy anything and you just said, I'm going to buy a market index fund, you know, you would completely change your outlook on what success looks like. So how does someone seize the opportunity that's in front of them that you simply can, in this case, outwork your problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it right. How do I do things more efficiently? Right. And so in this country, I came onto the scene with not much. I went to West Point with just the clothes on my back, right? And I had to take a loan out to get the computer that I needed because I didn't have any money. But one thing that I did do is at West Point, you know, you get a loan your junior year and it's at a low interest rate. As soon as I got that loan, I invested in the stock market. And I didn't go crazy and buy like single stocks. I just got a market fund, right? Got a market fund, started throwing money in my 401k. And throughout my career on Wall Street, I always invested 40% of my money. And my people would call me cheap and say, dude, why are you living in Harlem? You know, you work on Wall Street. I'm like, dude, because I can't make money off of rent, man. That's just that's just going out. I could get a $4,000 a month apartment, but I don't get any value out of that. So that would be dumb of me knowing how finances work to do that. So I chose to live in Harlem, pay half that rent, continue to invest 40% of my money after taxes. And pretty soon, you know, that grew to a substantial amount of money that I then took and invested in some homes in Charleston, South Carolina, that I had Airbnb rented out. And so then so you're right. If you're in this country, what people have to focus on is becoming more efficient with their money and actually spend their money on things that are going to return value to them. So buying eggs at the grocery store, there's a value to that. Like it keeps you alive. You have to eat, right?
Yeah.
Etc. Buying that Louis Vuitton belt, don't really need that Louis Vuitton belt. Buying that big G60 Mercedes, don't really need that unless you got millions of dollars in the bank. Then fine, do what you want to do. But instead of buying that, why don't you go open up a Gerber life plan for your kid so that when they get of age, you can hand them a big check. I mean, I don't even I have a 3-year-old, so I'm an old dad. But my brother, his younger kid, I opened up a Gerber life plan the day that kid was born. That was my gift to them. And right now, the way the market is moving, he's 10 years old now. That thing's already $40,000. I didn't do anything special. So he's going to get a check when he's 18, but a check between $80,000 and $100,000, right? So he'll be starting off the race at least on first base. He won't be at the home. Yeah. He won't be at bat. He'll at least be on first base because his uncle gave him that support early on, right? So look, it's not pretty, it's not sexy. It's putting your money in your 401k is not going to get you a date, right? It's not, right? Because it's not instant gratification. But what it will give you when you get gray like us is some comfort to do what it is that you actually want to do instead of continuing to try to keep up with the Joneses and actually own some stuff with your name on it.
Yeah. And again, this is not
anybody can do that in this country.
Right. Anybody can, right?
Anybody.
Again, not a political statement, but the stuff that's just happened with Scott Bessent and Donald Trump and these baby accounts, that is potentially game changing, because if you're not worried, like, will Social Security even exist when I'm old enough? Like we're old enough that we'll probably be able to repeat, but it's not a healthy financial mechanism. So if you can just, again, simply, even if you didn't drive Uber every day for 1,000 days, like I suggested, if you just said once a month, I'm going to make $200 and I'm going to put that money into a market index fund. And that's all you did in addition to whatever you might do at your regular job, right? And we're talking how many hours is it going to take? Let's say it takes you 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is. You're going to make more than that. But let's just say it takes you 10 hours. And you just did that until you were from 20 to 35. It's a long time. Yep, it is. But your outlook on money would be completely changed. So now we have these kid accounts. And I would rather give a kid an experience or now, retirement money that I can just dump in. That's the kind of uncle I will be. It's just like, here's $100. You'll thank me later. Here's $100. You'll thank me later. And I love the fact that we have the ability to teach kids more about how important this is. I wish I would have been. I did all right. I wish I would have been even better. I wish I would have been more disciplined. And I also might have made different decisions in my life if I had this pile of money there kind of nest egging me. I learned to jump off of cliffs and swing for homers because that's sort of where I lifed myself into that corner where I had to take big swings.
I mean, Pete, you know how many dates that I didn't get because I was saving my money? I didn't get those dates. And actually, I'm glad that I didn't get them because now, I look back at some of those folks and it's like, man, you were good back in the day, and now you don't have anything to show for it. It's funny. I was listening to an interview with Cam Newton the other day talking about he's not getting money like Tom Brady and these other guys in the sports media world, and I got to thinking, this guy made $130 million during his NFL career, $90 million after taxes.
Yeah.
Why do you even care about that? You made $90 million, man. Like after taxes, like where's your money at? Right. Yeah. So even if you make lots of money, it's probably not going to go on forever. Eventually you're going to age out, or the new hot man or woman is going to take over for you and you're going to be pushed out. So you got to be ready for that day to come.
Yeah. He's got a lot of great hats. He loves fashion. That shit's expensive. And look, you don't got to be cheap. Just get a Brooks Brothers suit. No one's ever going to say, oh, you can't dress well. Like, just get a black Brooks Brothers suit, buy 5 different ties.
I'm not trying to tell that man how to spend his money, But he's gonna realize you can't tell somebody else. You can't be looking at Tom Brady's pockets or whoever's pockets. Like you know, like that doesn't make sense.
Well, and I guess the other thing too is when you look at being an NFL player, and I know the NFL is trying to always solve this. Like, how do we avoid having what's his name, Vince, the quarterback, who kind of flamed out from Tech. Yeah, exactly right. Like he flames out. He's probably not broke, but the reality is you've got an agent, you've got a manager, you've got a lawyer, you've got all these people.
Dude, I got a story about. I got to interrupt you for a second. I got a story about Vince Young. So, probably 2012, I was in Austin on 6th Street at a bar. Vince Young was at the bar. I bought Vince Young a drink, and the guy didn't even say thank you. And I said,
"Oh my God!"
I said, "Man, Vince, I bought you a drink, man. Him and his girl, I bought them both a drink." And my buddy's like, "Dude, you're such a fanboy." And I was like, "I know," but I just loved the way he played that national championship game. It was one of the greatest games ever. But he didn't say thank you. So I lost love for Vince Young.
I was I get to go to Hollywood quite a lot. So I was in LA at a comedy club. So one of my friends is a very notable comedian. And Andy Dick was there. Andy Dick was fucked up. He was hammered. Just the other day he OD'd on the street. So like this is Andy Dick's world. And so he's walking around in his dojo. That's his place. And he comes up to me. He doesn't know me from anybody. And he's like, "I will suck your dick if you buy me a drink." And I'm like, "I don't need the dick sucking, but I'll buy you a drink." And the people with me like, "No, don't buy him. Like the guy's already hammered. Like this is the journey he wants to go on. So I bought him 2 drinks. I did not get my dick sucked. But that's the adventure he wanted, And then he got on stage and he was so awful. He was so awful because he was so just impossibly drunk. But I can't stop that person from going on that plane crash. And you're in a room full of 500 people flowing around, buying drink. He's going to get the drink, even if he doesn't, he's going to pick one up and house it.
That's right.
So, like that's just where we were, So Andy Dick, man, oh man, what a mess. Right. But at some point, that's the choice. What I'm suggesting to everybody is just take a little bit of your time, trade it for a little bit of money, and give yourself all of this freedom. That's right. You're not any good at any of that. You don't got to be as fancy as Omar is with all his fancy degrees and his, high-end CFO stuff. You can be the most incapable person. You work at Target and you're a manager of soft lines. No offense. That's a great job, great career. You're on your way. You're going to get stock option, all that stuff. That's all great. Go home once a month, 5 hours, 8 hours.
And let me tell you something, Pete. I tried to send my nephew, another nephew, he's about 22 years old. I was like, "Hey man, I will pay for you to go to plumber trade school. And when you graduate, dude, I will actually invest in your plumber business and let's get to the money." And he was like, "Oh man, I can't be a plumber. Like people are gonna look at me." And I'm like, "Bro, like you're thinking about this the wrong way. Because when you're my age, you don't care about what people think, right? You're at your house in your own world. I'm like, you're gonna be sorry that you denied me sending you to plumber school or electrical school or something."
It doesn't take 10 years to get the journeyman status. That doesn't take 10 years. You figure out the business. You got an uncle and all of a sudden you got 1 truck, 2 trucks. 10 trucks.
Exactly.
Omar's nephew's plumbing.
I was going to build a plumbing empire, man.
Yeah. I mean, look, twice a year ish, we have an old tree. Roots grow through. We got to get it rooted. And I could go down to the rental place and I can go do that myself. But that's not Pete work. That's pro work. And so we pay that man, I don't know, $150 twice a year. And he's there for 20 minutes. He knows exactly what to do. And he could charge us more. He likes us. And we would pay it because I'm not going to do that work. And it's you have to want, and you don't have to be a plumber. You can fill in the blank, whatever it is that you want to do.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Do a job you like that pays crap, but go out and make you a little.
With the Instagram, the Facebook. And I know I sound like an old guy, but everybody wants to show the flash.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but when the flash is off and the Facebook is off and the Instagram is off, it's you sitting there with yourself. And you need to take a step back and realize that you need to take care of your business today to set yourself up for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's, I can't think of the dude's name right now. I know you'll know him. Who is that guy? I know it is. Junior Bridgman from the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't make his money in the NBA. He made his money with franchises. And
That's
he
right.
is I'm going to say top 5 richest guys in the NBA. Top 5, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the example. He had a shot, and Jesus Christ. And he didn't do something that was, I'll say, remarkable or impossible. You can today follow his path.
You can follow his path today. And there's plenty of dudes that leave the NFL because, the lifespan's only 3 years. A few of them go back and get their MBA and move into the venture capital world and start off with that money they made, a couple $1,000,000, and they do well.
Yeah. All right. What do you? Almost an hour and a half, and you also came in early and hung out with me and Scott. So thank you for all this time. I know it's valuable. What do you want to close with? Everybody, for sure. Omar Ritter, as you can see down there in the link right below, Omar's handsome visage. What do you want to say to close up? And thanks.
What I want to close out with, and I'm going to do a self promotion. If you know somebody that's struggling with anxiety, PTSD, obsessive compulsive, whatever, I really want you to push them to read my book, West Point to Wall Street, My Journal of Mental Health. I also want you to take a look at my book if you're thinking about navigating a career in corporate America, et cetera, because I talk about these things throughout my book. It's not just a soldier story. It's not just a war story. I actually only have one chapter where I talk about military and combat. The most of it is how I grew up, how I navigated, was able to have some really good examples in my life to get me into college, and then more examples to actually get me through business school and onto Wall Street. In fact, my mother-in-law said, man, you know a lot of really amazing people. Your next book should just be about the people that you talk about in your book. So these are real stories about real people. A lot of them who didn't come from much, and you don't know about them, but they're doing very well for themselves. And I think it's something for us to take a look at, especially when it comes to our great country and what we can achieve together here.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Everybody, it's the weekend. Have a great time. Enjoy yourselves. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate. Slow down. Enjoy your family for a little bit. Go get Omar's book. Books are great gifts. Buy 2, buddy. Read that thing.
It's on sale. It's on sale too. It's like $10 right now.
That's right. I'll say goodbye to you in a second, Omar. Everybody else, have a great weekend.